Hey, Fidelity. How can I remember to invest every month?
With the Fidelity app, you can choose a schedule and set up recurring investments in stocks and ETFs.
Oh, that sounds easier than I thought.
You got this.
Yeah, I do. Now, where did I put my keys?
You will find them where you left them.
Investing involves risk, including risk of loss. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
This episode is brought to you by Coffee Mate. After watching this season of the HBO's original series, The White Lotus, this is the tropical getaway I needed. One more pina colada, please.
Hey, you're not on mute.
Oh, I thought I was in paradise. Turns out it was my Coffee Mate. Coffee Mate Pina Colada and Thai-iced coffee-flavored creamers. Inspired by the newest season of HBO's original series, The White Lotus. For the love of coffee. Try now.
Welcome into 49ers Access. My name is Sterling Bennett. And can anything ever be simple? Can it ever be an easy, drama-free offseason for the San Francisco 49ers? Because they have signed Mac Jones to a 2-year contract, and that has released the hounds on social media wondering what this means for Brock Purdy in the future of the 49ers quarterback position. We're also going to dive into a report, or at least a comment by Ryan Clark, which has led to speculation as to whether San Francisco would actually trade Christian McCaffrey this offseason, so stay tuned right here on 49ers Access. Okay, let's talk about the San Francisco 49ers signing Mac Jones to a 2-year deal. A 2-year contract worth $7 million with $5 million guaranteed and a potential max value of $11.5 million. And I tell you this off the bat, the NFL gods have just the worst and meanest sense of humor out there. This entire offseason felt like no quarterback drama. Going to be as simple as pie. Going to re-sign Brock Purdy. Going to make this offseason, although there are going to be some heartbreak along the way, some massive departures of some beloved team members like Dre Greenlaw and Kyle Juszczyk. Going to be some heartbreak along the way, but the quarterback position was looking to be removed from the drama. It was going to be a rather simple offseason for the quarterback position when it came to the San Francisco 49ers, but the football gods are laughing at us. They're laughing right in our face. They're like, oh, you thought it was going to be easy. Oh, you thought it was going to be simple. And, it's funny, I am from a somewhat religious background where I always heard the phrase, God gives his hardest trials to his best soldiers, if you will. And right now, it certainly feels like God has given Niner fans some of the hardest trials possible, because it feels like ever since 2020, it's been a quarterback controversy after quarterback controversy. And just when you think everything's cleared up, and they're going to sign Brock to a new deal, and you're going to be fine and awesome. Nope. Things have changed drastically. Ironically enough, on the first day of the new NFL year. We are in the 2025 NFL season currently. Free agency has technically officially began, and 2025 has ushered in the same exact drama and just overall, I guess you can say, cloud hovering over San Francisco and the 49ers quarterback room. That said, I do want to discuss who Mac Jones is first as a player before we dive into Brock Purdy and what it means for the future of either Brock Purdy or the San Francisco 49ers. For one, I do want to say that removing the Brock Purdy aspect from this move, I actually don't mind Mac Jones being a backup quarterback for the 49ers. Now, I think a lot of the hate Mac Jones gets, especially from Niner fans, kind of reverts back to or refers back to when he was almost chosen by this team in 2021. Which, funny enough, although maybe there's a case for Justin Fields now, Mac Jones may be the most successful or second most successful quarterback in that quarterback class, which isn't saying much, but he was if it means anything nowadays, a former Pro Bowler in his first year, went to the playoffs in his first year, although didn't play well. Mac Jones has been otherwise a rather, although bust, been an okay quarterback. I don't think he deserved to be a top 12 pick in that draft. However, Kyle Gates' his guy. Like, this is Kyle Shanahan's guy. I think he's kind of who Kyle wanted the entire time. We heard rumor after rumor after rumor that Kyle wanted Mac Jones. That was the pick, which when you look at how things have transpired, it honestly probably would have been a better pick. I don't know how much better, but in retrospect, sticking at 12 and picking Mac Jones is probably a better option for San Francisco in the long run, although it led us to Brock Purdy, which again connects us to how awkward things are now in the red and gold and amongst the fan base. That said, Mac Jones as a player honestly fits this system. It makes sense as to why Kyle wanted him 4 years ago. It makes sense as to why they want him now. They even have reports today by Tom Pelissero saying San Francisco tried to trade for Mac Jones during the season. So there is reason to believe, or before the season began, when he was traded from New England to the Jaguars, there is reason to believe that this is going to be a good thing for San Francisco. But as a player, Mac Jones fits this scheme. I think he'll do what Kyle wants him to do. I think when you talk about having I don't want to say a higher end backup or a top tier backup, but Mac Jones can give you something very similar, or maybe not very similar, but somewhat similar to Brock Purdy. Although Brock has showed him playing at a much higher level, I don't think there really is, I don't want to say controversy, but Brock Purdy has clearly been the better quarterback. I think it'd be foolish for anybody to believe there is somewhat of a quarterback competition happening in San Francisco. Although money complicates things for sure in the way San Francisco is going, that may lead to what could become an issue down the road. However, Brock Purdy has been head and shoulders above most quarterbacks in the NFL when healthy, when on the field with his boys out there with Debo and Ayuk and McCaffrey and Kittle and whatnot. But Mac Jones, I think, can benefit from playing in San Francisco, being in this scheme. I think he fits what Kyle wants. He's a quarterback that, funny enough, has underrated mobility, which is kind of not what you expect from a guy with a middle name as McCorkle. But Mac Jones, I do think, has something to him that I think many fans overlook, knowing that he almost was that number 3 overall pick. He has good size, 6'3", 220 pounds. Really, the only drawback to Mac Jones, and this is not just last year or as a person, as a player, he really has been somewhat successful. 34 touchdowns in his entire career thus far, stemming from his rookie season up into last year with Jacksonville as their backup. The big issue with him is turnovers. He turns the ball over and has turned the ball over 38 times over his entire career, compared to 34 touchdowns. So there is a lot of give and take with him, but I do think Kyle Shanahan, being a quarterback that can kind of dumb things down, make things simple, as a strictly backup quarterback with a higher end potential, Mac Jones makes a lot of sense for this scheme, for this system. I think if Brock goes down, well, yes, you'd see, a downward trend in play because a quarterback would be a worse player. I don't think you'd see this catastrophic fall off where, oh my God, it's Joshua Dobbs, or oh my God, it's Nick Mullins, or Beathard, or Hoyer, or in some cases, Trey Lance wasn't great for his short stint in San Francisco. You're not going to see, Brandon Allen level of poor play. You're going to see a quarterback that is rather competent. He was a first-round pick for a reason, right? And I don't think him being picked at 15 was actually a reach. I do think Mac Jones is rather capable of being a solid quarterback in the NFL. He's not great. Sometimes he isn't good, but there are some games where he'll surprise you. Again, he is rather mobile for a quarterback of his size. He's not going to be Mike Vick or Lamar Jackson, but overall, not that bad of a running quarterback whatsoever. I do think for Mac Jones, he is going to give you more than you expect from a quarterback like himself, the way he looks, the way he's built. We all see the meme of him walking to the podium when he gets drafted. It's rather uncomfortable, but he can evade some pressure. He doesn't have the best pocket presence, but you're hoping that with Kyle Shanahan drawing guys open, scheming guys open, McCorkle Jones, if you will, can be able to find some success with the San Francisco 49ers. Overall, a rather efficient runner with the football. Last year, 28 attempts, 92 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 fumbles. So again, there is that give and take. There is the 1 touchdown, 92 yards you like, about 3.3 yards per attempt. But there is those 2 fumbles you say, yikes, that can't happen, that shouldn't happen. But as you saw last year, Jones was a backup. He played in week 3, week 6, then didn't play till week 10. And then once he played during week 10, kind of carried over into the rest of the year where he got more comfortable. He looked better. He didn't fumble the football from week 11 on. So I think once you saw Mac Jones get more comfortable, get more playing time, although it shouldn't happen in San Francisco barring a Purdy injury, I do think you can find some consistency with him where we're not laughing at, oh my God, are you serious? Because the overall consensus has been, you have to be effing kidding me that, Mac Jones is the quarterback in San Francisco. When the pocket collapses, you are going to find that he is not the same quarterback, albeit that's every other quarterback in the NFL. But when the pocket's kept clean, he's rather efficient, 7 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Over 1,400 yards last year with the Jaguars, and in previous years it was even better.
This episode is brought to you by Prime Video. In the small town of Holland, Michigan, nothing is ever what it seems. Behind the tulip festivals and pretty houses lay dark secrets that threaten to tear a marriage apart. Nicole Kidman stars in this darkly twisted thriller about a wife and mother whose quest to uncover her husband's secrets may get her more than she bargained for. Holland, streaming on Prime Video March 27th.
Again, I get people not liking the move in general because you hear the name Mac Jones, but don't write him off because of his name. That's unfair to him. He's actually a not accomplished quarterback, but again, a competent quarterback where I don't think this in general is a bad move for San Francisco. I think as a quarterback, Mac Jones can actually operate the system, and when you go to his passing depth grade on PFF, yes, not a great deep ball thrower, not going to be someone who's, slinging that rock downfield left and right, but over the middle of the football field, underneath, and short yardage, again, a rather more mobile Jimmy Garoppolo, if you will, Mac Jones can actually have some success in a scheme like this, and although I do think that he'd be a quarterback that probably benefits from a pre-2025 San Francisco offense that has Deebo Samuel and maybe has a healthy Kyle Juszczyk or on-the-field Kyle Juszczyk for this team under contract Kyle Juszczyk, if you will, as well, a healthy and ready-to-go Brandon Ayuk. Again, I don't think Mac Jones perfectly fits this iteration of San Francisco's offense, but I do think that if called upon, it would not be, oh my God, Mac Jones is the quarterback. I think we would maybe say, okay, you're going to have to live with the good and the bad here, but I do think you could see elevated play over previous backups in San Francisco, which is not a bad thing whatsoever. And I do think San Francisco, this again, is a floor-raising move for them from a strictly football standpoint. That said, the unfortunate part about this is that Mac Jones signing him means so much more than just a backup quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers. A lot of that, again, stems from Kyle's interest in him dating back to the pre-draft process in 2021. This, again, is Kyle Shanahan simply getting his guy. After all this time, instead of having Trey Lance, you get Mac Jones. You finally came around to signing the quarterback he may have wanted all along. He is, in some sort of way, righting the wrong of drafting Trey Lance by signing Mac Jones, although as a backup quarterback. That said, a lot of what stems from the Mac Jones conversation is what it means for Brock Purdy. And it's unfortunate, it's unfair, but that is the reality we're living in, where San Francisco is, cutting cash left and right, $86+ million dead cap hit, and a quarterback that wants a massive contract this offseason, and you pay at this point in time. Now that Gardner Minshew is released, you would now have the second highest paid backup quarterback in football behind Tyrod Taylor on a base salary standpoint. So they paid up for him to a certain extent, and it does kind of open your eyes saying what's actually happening behind the scenes. What's going on? Is this signs of friction? We've kind of got the reports that, well, earlier in the offseason, before the new league year began, everything seemed awesome. Thumbs up, they're going to get a deal done during free agency and in the pre-draft process or shortly after that. Now it's like there is no deal happening. It's not imminent, and everything's kind of on pause. They're far apart on a deal. That was a quote by Matthew Berry. And if you're putting together reports and reading tea leaves from Schefter and Rossini, this thing is not going to get done anytime soon. And in the meantime, they're signing Mac Jones. What does that mean? Now, the bigger questions are simply, is this the San Francisco 49ers trying to gain some leverage over Brock Purdy in negotiations? And I think in a straightforward way, I do not think Mac Jones gives the Niners leverage over Brock Purdy in any way. You can argue that, again, the second highest paid backup quarterback in football, what does that mean? You can argue that, well, this is Kyle's guy. Kyle maybe kind of eyeing an out of Brock Purdy, but that doesn't line up with anything they've said. Now, maybe they're lying and we can't trust them, which I wouldn't be shocked about, but John and Kyle have given every indication they want to sign Brock Purdy to a long-term deal. Now, maybe there is a conversation to be had that with Paraag, Marate, and Jed York, kind of putting them someone in a straitjacket saying you can't sign big contracts, and we've been burned too many times. And we've talked plenty of times here about they want to win that deal with Brock. This could be some sort of like, hey, we have a backup plan in case he's not ready to go. In case he's unwilling to sign, we have a quarterback Kyle likes enough, he's comfortable enough, and would love to have here anyways behind you. Now, do I think they would have signed Mac Jones even if Brock was going to get paid and will get paid? I do. But I do think there is something to the idea that getting Kyle Shanahan the quarterback he's always wanted since 2021 does in a way make them more comfortable, kind of bleeding things out with Purdy along the way to hopefully draw his number down as soon as July comes, training camp comes. Although they want to avoid that, I do think this is, in some sort of fashion, them trying to bring Brock down, let's say, from $55 million to about $52 million. Again, they're going to penny pinch. They're going to be cold, calculated, ruthless. This may be, although speculative, maybe some sort of that cold ruthlessness we've heard from of Mike Silver about Paraag, Marate and Jed York this offseason. One thing I don't believe this is San Francisco building towards replacing Brock Purdy with Mac Jones. I don't believe this is, Mac Jones is Brock Purdy's successor. I don't think this is them eyeing a future without Brock Purdy. I just think this is, again, one of two things. Maybe them trying to bring, Brock's total value down to a number they like more, and also insulating themselves and protecting themselves with the quarterback Kyle actually likes. Kyle, I don't think, really liked Joshua Dobbs last year. He was comfortable enough with Brandon Allen. He likes Sam Darnold, and I think it gives Kyle more of that. I think it gives Kyle more of the Sam Darnold-like quarterback he wants. Although different quarterbacks in their own ways, different arm talents, mobility. Darnold has shown to have been a better quarterback, although in 1 year with the Vikings, and I think Jones has his entire career. At least the upside is certainly there. I do think this is Kyle, in a way, kind of finding his previous Sam Darnold and Mac Jones, where I like him as a player, I like him as a person, I think he fits my scheme to a T. I think this is Kyle finding a backup quarterback he likes, and for Paraag and Jed, it also works in their favor too, trying to bring down Brock Purdy's value. But I do not believe this is them eyeing, okay, we cannot pay Brock at all because we have Mac Jones. In what world would any logical franchise believe replacing a quarterback you went to a Super Bowl with, had an MVP finalist season? This is not Jimmy Garoppolo, where we like Jimmy, he's a good teammate, but it's clear as day other people are doing a lot of the work to get him to where he was successful as a quarterback, right? And we like Jimmy, but Brock has clearly raised that ceiling to a point where you're talking about, at times, one of the best quarterbacks in football, behind probably the top tier players like Burrow, Jackson, Mahomes, and Allen, and others in that grouping. Again, it's asinine, I think, if that's how they believe it to be, if they believe this is a way of we're getting leverage, we can turn to Mac Jones in the future. I think that's crazy. I think it's stupid, to be honest with you, and I don't think Kyle nor John, who are football players to a T, who are ingrained in the game, see a way where Mac Jones, 1, carries this team to a Super Bowl, 2, is anywhere near close of a player to that of Brock Purdy. I don't think that's what's happening here whatsoever. But there may be, and this goes back to Jed and Paraag trying to gain some leverage here, I do think there may be something to the idea that we've heard Schefter talk about them maybe utilizing the franchise tag in 2 years as leverage over Brock Purdy. Well, if you don't want to sign for $50 million and make and make $50 per year, make $150 million over the next 3 years, then you can play on your 5-year contract this year or your $5 million contract this year, and we're good with that. If you don't want to buy into a cheaper deal in which you'd be comfortable, you'd make life-changing money, but on our dime and on our money that we like more, then it does, I think, give them some sort of comfortability of like, okay, well, we have Mac Jones. We're good. At least I wouldn't look too much into the fact that Mac Jones is going to be making eerily similar money base value-wise to what Brock Purdy's making this year. At least that's what many are doing on social media. I don't think there's too much to that, nor do I think this is them saying we signed Mac Jones, we're not going to pay Brock Purdy. I do think, though, that this is maybe them hedging where if Brock doesn't want to take their lowball offer, we're not budging offer, our last, offer, the note across the table, here is our, final offer, and he says no, where maybe the offer is $50 million per year. He's like, no, I want 55. This is them essentially saying, okay, if you don't want to take it, then we have Mac Jones here as well. And we're willing to at least wait in some form or fashion for you to sign. They can survive a week or so. I think that's bad business. I think that's, again, utter stupidity. But this is how businesses work. They try to find leverage any way possible. Although I don't think Mac Jones, of all people, gives them that much leverage. I do think this may be them kind of questioning, like, we want to pay Brock Purdy, but on our dime, on our price. Compared to in previous years, them kind of giving in more money than maybe they'd want to Ayuk and Debo and Bosa and Christian McCaffrey and Trent Williams. They don't want to lose this deal. I think, if anything, this is a sign of them trying to push the idea of we are not going to lose this deal. Now, again, I don't think they signed Mac Jones, telling him, okay, you're going to start some games. I think they gave him incentives for a reason in case he happened to play some games, barring a Brock injury or, again, maybe a contract dispute. I think San Francisco is gearing up to play a very, very hard version of hardball, if you will. This is them tightening screws. This is them, fastening the batting gloves and gearing up for what is going to be, I think, a grueling negotiation with Brock Purdy. And I think Mac Jones at least gives Kyle some comfortability and kind of gives Paraag and Jed maybe a little more leeway and runway to make things harder for Purdy. But I don't think this is them twisting a knife in Brock to force him to get a deal done. But I do think it's business. This is how things are run.
This episode is brought to you by Walmart. New beauty is in bloom at Walmart, and it's all about springtime radiance. From Drybar, Tula Skincare, and hundreds more available online, Walmart has the premium brands you want and this season's on-trend products for flawless, glossy hair and hydrated skin. Big name beauty brands? Check. The things you love? Check. Find trending spring beauty and all you need to look and feel gorgeous at Walmart, on app and online.
Do I think it's smart? No. Do I think it's a good thing to do? No. The last thing you want to do is piss off your franchise quarterback. However, if we are to believe the reports by Mike Silver that this is a ruthless, cold regime, if you will, at the top with Paraag and Jed making some changes money-wise, then I think it's hard to just kind of, I guess you can say, look past or just neglect the idea that this is a business move by a front office trying to make some big changes. But I do think they still want to pay Brock Purdy. I think they're going to pay Brock Purdy. I just think overall, in a grand scheme of things, one, Mac Jones is a good backup quarterback from a football perspective, and two, he also gives Shanahan some comfortability as a backup behind Brock Purdy, knowing that the play styles may be somewhat similar, although a different level of play from Brock to Mac Jones. And from a business standpoint, this again gives them a further runway to make Brock's life a little tougher, make him and his agent sweat a little bit more prior to them hopefully eventually inking a deal on a new contract. Again, they're penny pinching. They want to save every single dime they can. They're okay eating money now if they can kind of save money later. And I think this is them eating money early now to hopefully wheel and deal their way into getting Brock on a cheaper deal. I don't know how much cheaper this makes Brock Purdy. Maybe it goes down from 55 to 50. I have no idea. But I don't want to overblow this. I don't think this is like an overwhelming, oh my God, they're not going to pay Brock, or oh my God, just wash it off. Brock's never going to resign. I don't think this is that. I don't think this is them overwhelmingly putting their approval on Mac Jones to be the future of the organization. I think it's simply a smart football move in the meantime, but from a business standpoint, in a way, it is them trying to find any, I don't want to say leverage, but any way to make this team more comfortable in case Brock doesn't want to sign the contract they want to sign. But that said, I like the signing as a football move. I do like the idea of Mac Jones backing up Brock Purdy. If you go back and you watch my top 5 backup quarterback options, although Mac Jones wasn't my top pick, and I said it pissed plenty of people off, I'm not shocked about this whatsoever. Everything kind of has pointed to either Zach Wilson or Joe Flacco or Jarrett Stidham or Mac Jones, and 2 of those guys have signed in Zach Wilson and Jarrett Stidham, which Zach Wilson got paid a pretty penny by the Dolphins. So Mac Jones going to San Francisco makes more sense, but I'm sure Kyle is happy knowing he has a quarterback he likes behind Brock, where again I don't think he loved Joshua Dobbs nor Brandon Allen. I think he was just somewhat comfortable with them. I think he likes Mac Jones. I think he gives them that Sam Darnold-like feel to a backup quarterback where he feels like he can win games with him, where I don't feel like Kyle believed he can win games with Allen or Joshua Dobbs last year. And I think, this is them, it's trying to find a way to get Brock to pull his price down somewhat. Without knowing what they're offering him or what he's asking for, it's hard to kind of get more into that, but the Niners have no problem getting into the weeds in contract negotiations, and all the indications have kind of seen that change from they're getting a deal done to it may be a while, and them using franchise tags as leverage over Brock. So I don't agree with Mac Jones altering their plans altogether, but I do think there is a way where Mac Jones can alter their plans if Paraag and York do not believe or do not like the way Brock is handling negotiations with the number he's asking for with a new deal, hopefully in place in the next few months or so. But that's what happens. That's what happens when you make deals like this at the quarterback position. And I think it's kind of compounded by you losing so many other players and Brock being in a contract year. Had Brock not been in the contract year, I don't think this is a conversation. Had Mac Jones only been a 1-year deal, I don't think this is a conversation. But it's a 2-year deal, making second highest paid backup quarterback money in Brock's contract year. All of those things added together make it really hard to look past and really hard to ignore when it comes to what this can actually mean for Brock Purdy's future in San Francisco. But I'm holding out hope that nothing changes. I don't believe they want to pay Mac Jones over Brock Purdy, but it really remains to be seen in what has been an overall offseason that has fans questioning so much from Jed, John, Kyle, and Paraag. So fasten your seatbelts, folks. Buckle up. Things are getting a little crazy. To quote Austin Powers, it tastes a bit nutty. So just sit back, relax, and although you're probably not going to enjoy the show, just pray to God that Brock Purdy signs a contract and Mac Jones isn't your starting quarterback of the future. Although, again, as a backup, I think it's a good move. I don't mind this whatsoever, but I know a lot of you are going to hate this. It is 9:51 on the West Coast on March 12th. As of when you see this, I will probably be in Japan or on my way there, so forgive me if I'm not giving you updates on stuff or responding to you on the live chat, but I know you're fuming, and I'm sorry for you, and I feel so bad, but they just don't care about the way things look optically. They want to get the best deal done. It's about winning contracts, and if they think Mac Jones can give them a leg up in winning Brock Purdy's contract, I'm not shocked about this whatsoever. This is simply a business move on a football team that right now is in a real business-style overhaul of the roster, of the franchise. So sit tight, buckle up, and just hold on for the ride because it might get really, really bumpy. And I'm talking like Mac Jones beer belly bumpy if things go really awry as 2025 progresses. But hopefully I can go and see Brock and maybe Mac Jones duke things out come training camp, although I don't think that'll happen. But you never know with the San Francisco 49ers. That said, I want to pause for 1 second and kindly ask you to use our promo code 49ers Access, 49 ERS ACCESS at SeatGeek.com and save yourself $20 off your first purchase, whether it's a baseball game, a football game, an NBA game, or a spring or summertime concert. Plenty of amazing artists currently on tour. Kendrick Lamar's on tour. You want to go see him play? Go and use that promo code 49ers Access, 49 ERS ACCESS at SeatGeek.com and save yourself $20 off your first purchase. Also, if you could, go down and click that link in the description and get yourself a can of goat fuel. You can save yourself 10% off your purchase by using our link down below. You help the show out in the meantime. And also, get an amazing product. I myself had not tried goat fuel. They contacted me. They sent me a box. I was like, look, I don't do energy drinks. I had a sip and I said, oh, my life is changed for the better. So if you could, if you like energy drinks, they taste amazing. I have one almost every single day with my lunch. I love goat fuel, and it always helps when you get the goat fuel can because it usually has a logo of Jerry Rice on it, which, I mean, for me, that is heaven. So click that link down below and save yourself 10% off your goat fuel purchase. Enough with the quarterback conversation. Although I'm not tired of it, a lot more is coming during the offseason. Can we talk about Christian McCaffrey and what was said about him earlier today? That was March 12th, 2025. Because I woke up. My wife has to go to work at about, leave the house about 8 o'clock, 7:45. I'm up at about 6:30, 7 a.m. every single day. I roll over, I check my phone, and I go, what's going on? And I look up on Twitter, and I think it was Coach Yak, who is always on Niners news, like daily. It's insane what he does out there. Just great stuff for the community. And I see Ryan Clark on ESPN, and he's saying some things about Christian McCaffrey. And when I tell you, I was like, this is the dumbest comment of the offseason so far. I'm not kidding. I sat back in the bed and I said, I think I am dumber after hearing everything he said, which, no disrespect, but go ahead and listen to what Ryan Clark had to say on ESPN regarding the future of Christian McCaffrey with the San Francisco 49ers.
I would absolutely trade Christian McCaffrey, and I would try to get as much as I could possibly get for him. When you look at what Kyle Shanahan has been able to do, it's run the football. And I know we thought last year they missed some of the things with the versatility of Christian McCaffrey, but when you trade Juszczyk, you let some of that versatility go. You let some of the things you can do formationally go. And so why not change your entire philosophy from thinking about Christian McCaffrey as this Swiss Army knife, getting pieces for him and allowing guys like Ricky Pearsall to touch the football more with running the football and doing different things on quick screens, adding other players based on the assets that you can get for them. Also understanding you're looking for more available players than Christian McCaffrey was last year. You had a good stretch with him. You took your run at the Super Bowl. You didn't get it. If you're going to rebuild completely.
When I hear that, and it is almost paired with, a lot of the conversation fans are having amongst the fan base itself of they're rebuilding. They are tearing everything down. They're rebuilding. And I push back on that connotation of they're not rebuilding. There is no signs of rebuilding because, and I'll get to the exact reasons why in a second, but to kind of react to Ryan Clark in the immediate, why would, realistically, the San Francisco 49ers trade Christian McCaffrey? One, they'd be losing at this point in time, their reigning offensive player of the year as of 2 years ago. They already lost Deebo Samuel. They're not going to have Brandon Ayuk. Why would you then trade your number one running back, a player that, not to say carried you, but was a major factor in how successful you were just 2 years ago, and in a 3-year stint with the team has been one of, if not the best offensive player in football in that time? It doesn't make sense. Even if San Francisco is in a rebuild or not trying to rebuild, I don't think trading Christian McCaffrey, one, makes a lot of sense for them overall, but two, what could you actually get back for Christian McCaffrey? Ryan Clark said it himself. He was injured last year. He's nearing 30 years old. I think he's 29, or going to be 29 this year, certainly is 28 right now. Coming off of 2 Achilles injuries and a PCL injury. What team is going to give you the either draft pick compensation or a player that makes that deal worth it for you?
Are your ulcerative colitis symptoms proving difficult to manage? Tremfya guselkumab can help you manage the cycle of UC symptoms. At 1 year, many patients taking Tremfya achieved clinical remission, and some patients also achieved endoscopic remission. Individual results may vary. Tremfya is a prescription medicine used to treat adults with moderately to severely active ulcerative colitis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and TB. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Ask your doctor if Tremfya can help you manage the cycle of UC symptoms. Call 1-800-526-7736 to learn more or visit tremfyaradio.com.
I'm not against trading away Brandon Ayuk or Deebo Samuel or really anybody, maybe barring George Kittle and Nick Bosa, unless a team's going to give you like high-end draft pick compensation or a player to alter, your franchise's trajectory. I think anybody do that. You trade anybody on this team for, again, a high-end draft pick, is a bona fide stud. Like if a team came calling today, say it's the Tennessee Titans, for whatever reason, they're saying, hey, Kyle, hey, John, we want Christian McCaffrey. We'll give you the number 1 overall pick. And I'm like, we can get Abdul Carter? Yeah, let's do it right now. I think anybody would do that. I think the Tennessee Titans would, one, not do that because that would be stupid. But two, like the Niners would jump at the chance to get Abdul Carter compared to having Christian McCaffrey. They figure things out. Ryan Clark is right to say Kyle Shanahan has been able to find running backs Elijah Mitchell, Jordan Mason, Matt Breida, Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson Jr., at a point in time Alfred Morris in San Francisco, Tevin Coleman, and many more along those same lines that, although aren't the biggest name, have found massive success in San Francisco and have built a career on what Kyle Shanahan helped them do. I'm not disagreeing with that point, but again, there has to be a reason to trade a player like Christian McCaffrey to make it worth it. I think San Francisco, if offered the right deal for Christian McCaffrey, would trade Christian McCaffrey, as they would any player, Brandon Ayuk included, Nick Bosa included, but there is no deal you're going to get for any of those players as of right now to make it worth trading away Christian McCaffrey. And again, what other team wants to trade for a 28, near 29-year-old running back off 2, kind of 3 serious injuries with the 2 Achilles and the PCL? Now, yes, Christian McCaffrey's injuries are serious enough that might make San Francisco say, hey, what can we do to either shorten his contract length or get out of that contract sooner compared to later? I don't disagree with that at all. That is a complete, yep, that makes sense to me. Brandon Ayuk is the exact same way, although Christian McCaffrey has been more proven in his couple years in San Francisco compared to Ayuk in his one really good year with the 49ers. I just don't think a team, like, if the team was actually quote-unquote rebuilding, which I don't think they are, because I've got messages on X and on Instagram of they're rebuilding. You just don't get it. You don't understand. You can say they're not, but they actually are. if you were going to trade anybody, say this team was completely overhauling, resetting, hitting the actual rebuild button. When I hear the term rebuild, I hear you are destroying everything to the ground to build it back up, right? There used to be a show on, I think, Cartoon Network called Destroy, Rebuild, Destroy. That would be San Francisco trying to rebuild their roster. This is not that, because if they were rebuilding, they'd be trading Christian McCaffrey, Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, not re-signing Lenore to a big deal, and they'd be shopping Brock Purdy. Like, they'd be trading all those players, overcutting Leonard Floyd and Malik Collins, who have literally no reason to get cut outside of saving money. If you want to rebuild your team, you're trading away your big-name stars for big-time compensation. San Francisco's not doing that because they believe in the current core as constructed, and they're hoping the draft classes they have this year and next year can build around that and take them into a future that is prosperous. And so trading away Christian McCaffrey, but then in the same breath, not trading away Fred Warner and Brock Purdy and George Kittle and Nick Bosa, who you know can give you massive draft pick compensation. We're talking first-round picks, high-end second-round picks, and third-round picks that can really give you a boost. It doesn't make sense. And in the same breath, you traded a second-round pick, a third-round pick, a fourth-round pick, and a fifth-round pick for Christian McCaffrey. What team is going to give you that compensation to make you say, yep, it's worth it for us to not have a player 2 years removed, although injured, from an Offensive Player of the Year award? It doesn't make sense. Also, on top of this, because as of today, let's say in this world we live in, which is far from perfect, but as of right now, let's say Ryan Clark had a job in San Francisco's front office, and he was like, look, John, look, Kyle, look, Paraag, look, Jed, we're going to trade Christian McCaffrey away. You know what they're going to do? They're going to turn and say, do you see that number? That's an $86+ million dead cap hit. Why would we also trade Christian McCaffrey and increase that to near $100 million? Why would we do that? I get it. If they wanted to trade away any player, they would do it. Hence the Ayuk rumors. But you've not heard Trent Williams, Nick Bosa, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, and outside of fan speculation, you really haven't heard Brock Purdy's name, which maybe with Mac Jones, you never know. Maybe they talk about trading away Brock Purdy, but again, that's asinine in my opinion. But Ryan Clark, it doesn't make sense to do what you're saying. If anything, you'd trade away Jordan Mason. Get that $5.3 million off your books. Maybe get a second-round pick back if he signs elsewhere. There's better moves to make that can net you the necessary draft picks or freeing up money other than trading away Christian McCaffrey. You can get more boom for a move like trading away Jordan Mason compared to, I think, trading away Christian McCaffrey. Now, I don't think Mason's inherent value is higher than CMC's, but second-round tender, very minimal contract compared to what CMC's getting, and a younger player that likely has more value when it comes to no injuries. And again, I think a team would give you a fourth-round pick or a fifth-round pick for Jordan Mason compared to Christian McCaffrey may get you a third-round pick if you're lucky. And at that point in time, it's like, this isn't worth it for us to do this, knowing that, well, McCaffrey's more valuable to San Francisco than he would be to somebody else out there on the open market or on the trade market on top of that. So, yes, rebuilding means destroying, I think, what is present to rebuild and hope it gets better for the future. But San Francisco isn't doing that. San Francisco is not destroying everything. They are making the correct assessments to cut older players and not bring back players that are in free agency. That's there's a massive misconception of they're gutting the whole team. They've only released Leonard Floyd, Malik Collins, Javon Hargrave. They've only released about 3 or 4 players. They let everybody else go, and Kyle Juszczyk, right? So they've released 4 total players. Meanwhile, they just have chosen to not bring back other people. That's not what a rebuild is. A rebuild is gutting everything, trading away your top stars to get you top-end compensation. This is not that. I think Ryan Clark even pitching the idea, although isn't crazy in itself, but where San Francisco is currently at within their roster construction and the window they're trying to somewhat reopen with the NFL draft, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. But neither does signing Mac Jones, and in a way, thinking you can get some leverage against Brock Purdy. But I don't make the rules. This is a ride we're all just kind of skating along to and surfing the wave, as Raheem Mostert might put it. But what do you think down below? What do you think of the Mac Jones signing? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you think it opens the door for them to trade Brock Purdy, to not sign Brock Purdy? Or do you think it's simply a good football move to get a backup quarterback Kyle Shanahan simply likes to have behind his starter, that being Brock Purdy? And what about trading Christian McCaffrey? Do you agree with Ryan Clark, or do you say, what is that guy smoking? What is ESPN on? Because, again, I don't get it. But it's not for me to get sometimes. I don't make those decisions. But if I had to make one, Mac Jones is a backup quarterback. Brock gets signed to a deal that he in San Francisco likes, and Christian McCaffrey's in the backfield with him as well. But tell me down below what you think. I hope you're having a wonderful weekend. I hope to hear from you and talk to you very, very soon. I got to get to my honeymoon in Japan, so if you can, follow me on social media at 49ers_access is the X or Twitter. 49ers.access is the Instagram. Use that promo code 49ersaccess, 49ERSACCESS at SeatGeek.com and save yourself $20 off your first purchase, and get yourself a can of goat fuel down below and save yourself 10% off your purchase, and get goated by getting some goat fuel. My name is Sterling Bennett. I hope to talk to you and hear from you soon. I hope to be on Twitter and Instagram during the honeymoon. Don't tell my wife that, but I want to stay connected. But until next time, my name is Sterling Bennett, and as always, stay faithful.